The Miami Heat did lose yesterday. The Nuggets win their first championship in franchise history. Nikola Jokic is your finals MVP.
Deservedly so.
Jimmy Butler, after the game, by the way, said that he put zero onus on his ankle, that it didn't affect him. That's no excuse. They were just better.
You know, I will say this. Mark Jackson last night on the broadcast said, look, he keeps telling you he's not injured. He's getting good looks at the basket. He's not hobbling out there. So he wasn't hobbling. He was not hobbling. Like, you know, when a guy is playing injured and they're trying to play through, you saw Gabe Vincent when the ankle got sprained. I'm not telling you that he was 100%, but he was not hobbling and he was getting good looks and they weren't falling. And Mark Jackson said, at some point, you got to take him for his word. If he's telling you, and then I think Mark Jackson also said towards the end, hey, Jamal Murray's dinged up. Nikola Jokic is dinged up. Everyone's dinged up. It's this time of year. And Jimmy Butler has said it to you. Like, I just, again, if he tells you I'm injured, I'll believe him. He keeps saying I'm not injured, and that had nothing to do with it. And so why do we not believe him?
Because we saw him drop 56 and he wasn't dropping 50 anymore and he has to be hurt. I love that because think about it. These guys are at 100 games probably. 82 regular season. The Heat had playing games.
Actually, yesterday was 107 games, one shy of the all-time.
I mean, you're gassed. You're
season
tired.
record.
You're gassed. And to your point, Hawk, I don't know who's injured. They're not on the list. Everybody on that court was hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Something on their body was getting iced, was getting stem machine, was getting something. It's too late in the season, Solana. You over here shrugging your shoulders. Everybody, little ding or nick or bruise or fight through it.
No, but that's just not true. Like, it's not
true.
Everybody's fatigued. I'm with you. And everybody has gone through some injury at some point this season. The Nuggets were healthy, though. That was a team that was healthy. And the Miami Heat were missing two role players. One was a starter in Tyler Hero. I'm not making excuses, by the way. Jimmy Butler refused to make that excuse with the ankle.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
And
like
I applaud him for it. But Hawk, don't tell me that that's the same guy who was taking over games in the first and second round.
It wasn't the same guy, but I'm not putting the onus on the ankle.
Oh, I'm not either, and he's not.
Yeah, then we're in agreement there.
But to say that it didn't limit him and that he wasn't a different player, well, then you just weren't watching the first and second round.
That's not true. Look, what did he shoot last night?
Terrible.
Right? No, but I'm saying, how many attempts did he get off?
I think he ended with 18 or 19.
I mean, he was getting shots. They weren't falling.
But Hawk, this guy was living in the paint in that first round against Milwaukee, living in the paint. And anytime he got within 5-6 feet of the basket, he was looking at the basket to score, and his elevation over Giannis, over Brook Lopez, over Drew Holiday, there was zero hesitation from Jimmy Butler near the rim at all times. Mm-hmm. He had his head down, going to the basket with one thing in mind, to either get to the free throw line or put it over the top of whoever was in front of him. And you've watched him since Game 3 of the Boston Celtics series, and Jimmy Butler is driving to the paint when he's not settling for a jumper, and he has no intentions of even looking at the rim. He is constantly hop-stepping in the paint, jumping, and just looking for outlet passes.
And I'm not putting that on the ankle. I'm not. He was 5 of 18 shooting last night. 5 of 18. He got off shots. He couldn't hit them. That's not the ankle. I'm sorry. And he's telling you it's not the ankle.
Right, but he's doing the thing that a lot of athletes do, which is no excuses.
No, a lot of athletes do the opposite.
No.
And it comes off bad. Look at Jason Tatum. First thing he did after the game, he sat down, said, I rolled my ankle.
That's why Jimmy's special. But I'm telling you, he's telling you it wasn't my ankle. Mark Jackson's watching the game and saying it's not his ankle. And he shot 18 shots.
Keep bringing up Mark Jackson. I mean, Mark Jackson didn't even vote for the best player in the league as an MVP. And the dude, all he wants to do is give credit to Savannah James because he'd knock her out the park. and all you want to do is talk about Mark Jackson. Who cares about Mark Jackson?
I'm just telling you that to say his performance in the finals was because of his ankle, I think does him a disservice.
And to be honest, the Heat culture, you can't be the nastiest, toughest, most well-conditioned team and talk about, yeah, my ankle. It's just not, it's not the way. It's why we love Jimmy, because he can fight through.
I just picture you like pedaling a bike to get the internet to work in your house.
Y'all don't have a flywheel? You got to crank up?
You're right. You can't be the toughest, nastiest, meanest team in the NBA when you're complaining about injuries, which is why he's not complaining about injuries. And I love that about him. And I'm not telling you that he made all the best decisions last night, but you can't tell me that he's not limited because of some sort of injury, whether it's the ankle,
But
whether
it could
it's something
be fatigue.
else.
It could be fatigue.
Well, it's a mixture of that, but everybody's going with fatigue.
But that's
at this
what I'm
point.
saying. I understand that, but that's what I'm saying. Like somebody texted in, he wasn't getting lift on his shots. That's because he's fatigued.
Or it's because he has an ankle injury.
Well,
Why are you throwing that out the window?
Because I saw him out there playing. I know what a guy looks like when they're hobbled. He was not. He wasn't. And then he told you he wasn't.
Yeah, but he's doing it because he doesn't want to come off like a guy that's going to complain.
So he
about
looked
his
hobbled to
poor play.
you last night?
Of course.
He did?
Hawk, go watch the
watched.
first 6 games of the postseason prior to Josh Hart taking him out. Go watch the first 6 games. Every single time he got into the rim, he had elevation. He was able to go up, dunk it. He was constantly looking at the rim. Since then, he's been a totally different player, settling for jump shots, unable to get to his spots. That's a guy that can't play the style of game he wants to play. And yes, you can credit Denver's defense, which I think they do deserve a lot of credit, but it's also because the dude's hurt. He's playing on an injured ankle.
He played well against the Knicks. He played well against the Celtics. Was his ankle getting worse? Was he wearing down? What's the answer to that? He was carrying the team still.
But he wasn't nearly as good as he was against Milwaukee.
Milwaukee,
he was the best, and he was okay in New York, okay up until the ankle. He was a different player, but I disagree that he wasn't getting to his spots. I think that was again, you're saying he's not getting to his spots because of the ankle, and I'm saying he's not getting to his spots because of Denver, the way they're playing him, and because of fatigue and maybe a little ankle.
But Hawk, this guy, since the All-Star break, he averaged, since the All-Star break, 60% from the field up until the point that Josh Hart took him out. How many games since then, since that ankle injury, how many games did Jimmy Butler shoot 50% or more?
Yeah, but you're doing the thing. You're doing the thing, though, like when James Harden has a great regular season and a bad postseason, what do you say?
Doesn't perform
in the postseason.
Right.
And all I'm saying is with Jimmy Butler, and I'm not saying that he doesn't perform in the postseason, but many people were saying he's not going to be the guy that can lead you to a championship. And it looked like he was that guy in the first round. And I'm not going to totally blame it on the ankle for rounds 3 and then the final. I'm just not, especially because he's telling you, don't. It's not the ankle.
Just saying, there's a sample size. There's a large body of work. Shooting and averaging 60% from the field over a course of 2.5 months up until his ankle gets taken out by Josh Hart, who likes breast milk. And then since then, he didn't look like the same player. He wasn't taking the same attempts, settling more for 3-pointers, which is something we all talked about. Yeah. And he only got 1 game where he shot 50% on 10 attempts. Every other game below 50% since that injury. That's a guy who is clearly not capable of doing the same thing.
What happened to Jaylen Brown against the Heat?
He froze up.
Was he injured or did they stop him?
But Hawk, there was an actual injury to Jimmy Butler. He sustained an actual injury.
And he's telling you that injury has nothing to do with anything.
Right, but just because he's telling you that doesn't mean that that's a fact. He just doesn't want to use.
You're telling
he
me
doesn't
that it
want.
is? Like
No,
I'm just.
but it's
I
just
mean, we're
obvious.
arguing the same thing, that he was not himself. Like we're all agreeing he was not himself.
No.
But it is convenient to say when Jaylen Brown stinks, it's because the Heat figured him out and stopped him, right? And when Jimmy Butler doesn't perform the way that he was supposed to, well, it's obviously his ankle. Josh Hart cheated.
No, I think you're looking at it from a totally different angle than I am, because just by watching the guy play, you can tell that he wasn't right. And I'm not blaming. I'm not saying that the Heat win the title.
What made
he
him
was
not
right.
What made him not right?
Until this point now, I'm sure. I don't even look at numbers. I know Caleb Martin's percentages went down. I know Gabe Vincent's percentages went down. I know a number of Heat players' percentages went down they faced the Denver Nuggets defense. And Jimmy's percentages went down because of the Denver Nuggets defense. And those guys weren't hurt, the guys I brought up.
Bro, let's just be honest. Heat win in 6 if Jimmy Butler's ankle never got rolled over. Let's just be 100% honest here.
I don't know why he wasn't playoff Jimmy. And I'm not just going to say unilaterally it's because his ankle hurt.
I am.
Okay, that's fine.
I'll say unilateral or whatever. It was because of his ankle.
All right.
Erroneous.
That's your opinion, Zaz. Did you do headlines yet?
I have no idea. Panthers play tonight, 8 p.m. This reminds me of the LeBron KD IQ debate. It just went 30 minutes.
Well, again, we all agree that Jimmy wasn't Jimmy in the finals.
Right, but what bothers me is you're like, well, he said it's not the ankle, so it's not the ankle. I know what he said. I totally Mark Jackson. Who cares about Mark Jackson? I know what Jimmy Butler said, but Jimmy Butler's never been the kind of player to let you know that an injury is keeping him from playing the game or using it as a crutch or as an excuse. And I commend him for that.
I disagree, because he's missed myriad games over the course of his Heat tenure for personal reasons, for illness, for maintenance days. So I don't think he's a guy that just plays through any kind of pain or any kind of situation. I'm just telling you, I believe Jimmy Butler. You're saying Jimmy Butler's a liar.
I'm saying Jimmy Butler refuses to blame an injury for his shortcomings in the postseason.
And you refuse to believe Jimmy Butler. You don't believe in him.
Yeah. No.
Okay.
No. I believe in Jimmy Butler.
I don't think you do.
I don't believe Jimmy Butler in this specific instance. I think he refuses to tell us that there's an obvious injury that's holding him back. Just like when he says there's no such thing as playoff Jimmy. I don't believe it. I think there is such thing as playoff Jimmy, and he was unable to tap into it because of an injury.
Okay. So put that on the post today. Solana, Jimmy Butler is a liar. He's lying to you.
I won't do that. I'll put Mark Hochman. Mark Jackson knows everything. Because apparently Mark Jackson is now who we look to for takes on basketball.
Well, I am going to take his take over yours. I'm sorry, Gummy.
Gummy.
Tonight, Panthers, 8 p.m. puck drop. They play VGK. They need a dub tonight. Save their season.
Matthew Tkachuk is fine, too.
Did he say it?
Not so much. It's kind of non-committal.
Well, gotta wait for him. Unless you're Solana. What do you think, Solana?
I'll tell you what Mark Jackson says.
Our debate on Jimmy Butler's ankle lasted longer than Trump at Cafe Versailles, by the way.
He's gone already?
He's gone. He's already on the way to MIA.
Who gets out of Versailles that quickly? I can't even get a table that quick.
Los Marlins, they're in action tonight. They play 20 minutes shy of 10 p.m. in Seattle
And,
tonight.
motorcade. They got back into the motorcade. They're like, hey, they're still talking about this. Back to Versailles. Turn it around. You turn.
Your weather from the Demesman and Dover law firm. Call them 866-954-MORE.
He's going to have a press conference tonight. And another thing, Jimmy Butler's ankle is fine. Mark Jackson said.